Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, salutation to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. And shalom to all the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Just wanted to go into a lesson entitled Leveling Up. Leveling up in the spirit. Basically, leveling up, just becoming stronger, becoming sharper in the spirit, because as we get closer and closer to the end, more and more things are going to happen, and we have to be prepared. It's a lot of things you have to be prepared for. You have to be strengthened in the spirit to be able to handle, to go through, to endure, to be patient in, different characteristics of the spirit that the Lord wants us to acquire, or different skills, so to speak, of the spirit that the Lord wants us to acquire. So, all of that comes with leveling up in the spirit, which is, leveling up in this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, leveling up in this word, and the Lord will give us that increase. It's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but that's all a part of leveling up in the spirit, because you're going to apply that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to your life, especially going through your trials and temptations. And a part of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, part of wisdom is having experience and history, knowing history of, knowing the history of what our forefathers went through when they had certain situations going on and how they handled it, how they was built up to a certain level and how they was able to go through it and endure it. So this is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. It says, study to show thyself approved of the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Right? And, going into the study to show thyself approved is just going into studying the word, being able to correctly explain, being able to correctly break it down, So, say you on the highways and byways and hedges, you be able to break down the doctrine correctly, explain the scriptures and what the Lord is actually trying to say, or what the scriptures actually say. But yeah, it says rightly dividing the word of truth. Rightly dividing the word, because with all these different doctrines out here, you don't want to be one of the ones coming out here saying the wrong doctrine, saying the wrong information, or if you have someone else come up against you, or just come up with a different doctrine in general. It says rightly dividing the word of truth. They can be coming out of the Bible, the KJV Bible, King James Version Bible. But it's not about he say, she say, what you believe, what I believe. It's about what the scriptures say, what Yahweh Shai say. And a part of knowing the truth and being able to rightly divide it, this also comes with it, verse 16. It says, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase into a more ungodliness. So knowing this, like I said, rightly dividing the word of truth will allow you or enable you to be able to shun profane and vain babblings, and also be able to avoid it. But that's also a part of leveling up in the spirit, having that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, knowing when it's time to attack a subject and when it's time to shun it away, and that's, more so dealing with the word, but you can also too apply that to a real life situation, in your life, like an everyday situation, going through different things, whether it be a financial situation or dealing with people, dealing with your job or whatever, because in actuality, it's these spirits on people. These, they be trying to really get at you, and being able to, know how to deal with it in as a man of the Lord, knowing how to deal in the spirit and not let it get to you or push you to that point to where you react, because a lot of these situations be a test. It also be a building part, building you up, because we're all being built up and being prepared for the time of the end, Jacob's trouble and everything that the Lord is going to bring up on the earth, because in order to, for the elect to receive salvation, it means they have to be in a situation to where they need to be saved. So with being in the situation that they need to be saved or delivered from, which we know the ultimate deliverance is from the thermonuclear missiles, but it's gonna be different situations that the Lord, miracles happening. You're gonna have to be leveled up and built up in the spirit to be able to endure that, because during this time there will be no faith on earth. Let me get that real quick. It's Luke 18:8. It says, I tell you that he will avenge them speed. Well, let me start at 7. This is Luke chapter 18, verse 6. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge saith, and shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them, right? Because the Lord is long suffering with the elect, He long suffering with us. We sigh, we cry. What's that? Let me get that real quick. Ezekiel 9:4 says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations to be done in the midst thereof. Right. So the men of the Lord, the elect, they're sighing and crying for all the abominations that's being done in the midst thereof, meaning on this earth, what we seeing on a day-to-day basis. What we having to continue to endure, whether it be our people, whether it be these other nations, but mainly Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. We having to endure, and we're sighing and crying all the abominations being done on this earth from the wicked, the wicked of Esau Edom, the wicked of our own people, and the wicked of these other nations. So verse 7 again, and shall not the Most High avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? Verse 8, I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? Right. I'm going to read that in NLT. It says, I tell you, he will grant justice to them quickly, but when the Son of Man returns, how many will he find on the earth who have faith? That's how bad it's going to be. That's how bad the earth is going to get. That's how terrible and violent and dark and wicked the times is going to be, for all the inhabitants of the earth. And the only ones that's going to be in a good case is the elect. Whether it be, the Lord is protecting them or delivering them and they're going to be saved, or even for the ones that's going to be martyrs for Yahweh Shai. There's still a process of leveling up, That's a whole nother level, because being a martyr for Yahweh or Yahweh Shai means you're laying down your life, putting your life on the line for your belief for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. That's a great sacrifice. That's a very great sacrifice. But nevertheless, compare that to 2/3 of our people or the rest of the world. How many people is really willing to do something like that? So this is Hebrews 4:12. It says, For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and the intent of the heart. Because going back to 2 Timothy, it goes into study to show thyself approved. And it said the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. Right, which it really is. The Bible is the strongest, it's the most powerful, weapon in creation, in existence, And the only people that realize that are the elect, are the ones that's using it, But a part of it being a powerful weapon, it's also applying it to your life, leveling up in the spirit, because you can find everything that you need in the scriptures, in the word of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Everything that we need to endure and continue to, and continue to endure until the end And while enduring, maintaining our situations, or going through temptations, all of that is in the scriptures, you know. And we use the scriptures, of course, when we go out on the highways and the hedges. We use it to discern, like it said. This it's a when we started, it said divide asunder of soul and spirit, and the joints and the marrows, and the discern of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So it's gonna bring out whatever's inside you, but also too, just looking at it in a different sense, applying it to your life, applying it to how we deal with the everyday people in our everyday lives, using this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because it can get you out of a lot of situations too, and just being able to know, how to apply the word to your life. That's a part of all leveling up, because when you first come into this truth, you're at you're at like level 1. You're at the basic level, and you're coming out of a world where a lot of your actions or a lot of your reactions was based off of carnality. But now, being in this word, being under Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, and like I said, being built up to a certain extent, now our actions and reactions are going to be based off of spirituality. How will we handle this spiritually? Because you got to look at it. When Yahweh Shai was walking the earth, he didn't go off of carnality. He didn't go off the flesh. He did things spiritually, with wisdom and knowledge, and he used the scriptures, especially when you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the leaders, coming against him. He moved with wisdom, but he was built up in the spirit to a certain extent. And that's all a part of leveling up. I got one more. It's Sirach chapter 2, verse 1. It said, "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation." Prepare means to get ready, to build yourself up, Prepare thy soul for temptation, because you're going to be tried, you're going to be tempted, you're going to be going through situations, you're going to be put in situations in order to build you up, to level you up, or to test you, and sometimes it's all three. And you have to use what you have learned. You got to apply the applications of the scriptures to this real life situation, because all of it is building you up for the times to come. We're going to need all of it, and sometimes it might seem like it's going on forever, especially like if you're dealing with a situation at work or whatever, and you got to deal with certain type of people, and the Lord might allow spirits to come at you just to see how you going to react, or see if you going to do the right thing, or continue to do the right thing, or start doing the right thing, however the situation may go, while you going through, while you being tested, while you being tempted. But verse 2, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, if thou mayest be increased at thy last end. And that's leveling up in the spirit when you set your mind right. Because when you first, like going back to saying, when we first came, when we first came out the world, our first reaction, and our action and reaction wasn't always spiritual, And sometimes you might respond carnally. You might, whether it be through action or speech or whatever the case may be, And a lot of times you might have thoughts that come into your mind that of a certain situation. It might try to, persuade you to be carnal or do something of this world that the people of this world would do. But at the same time, it says, set thy heart, which is your mind, aright, and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble, because that's applying, going back to study to show thyself approved. That's applying everything that you've been studying, everything that you've been learning, because a part of becoming the new creature is also leveling up, because when you like, for example, you playing a game And when you first start the game, it's gonna say new game. When you first have like the new game, eventually, you start at level 1, you start at a certain point. But the more you continue to play, the more you level up, the more you get better, and the more things you unlock to help you continue to progress. And that's how it is in the spirit. The more we level up, the more we can continue to play or continue to move throughout our lives, the more we unlock understanding. The more understanding the Lord gives you, the experience, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And we learn how to apply these applications to real life situations. And that's a part of leveling up. It was, which I just read down to 5. It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. Patience is another skill, a part of leveling up in the spirit. It says, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace. And there was one more scripture that came to mind. Well, actually 2 of them now. It's Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. Well, verse 2. I'll read 1, 2. It says, I beseech you, brethren, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, right, carnality, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable, perfect will of the Most High, right, which I read in the NLT. It says, don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let the Most High transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. That new person is going into like that new game by changing the way you think, how you react, and that's all come with studying to show yourself approved, leveling up in the spirit. Because when you level up in the spirit, you changing the way you think. You changing your whole character, because we shouldn't be the same person that we was when we was in the world. So change the way you think. It starts with your mindset. Change the way you think. It's going to change the type of person you are. It says, then you will learn to know the Most High's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. But that comes with experience. That comes with different trials and temptations, sufferings, that you have to be patient and patiently endure. Learning how to deal with certain people or overcoming certain fears, or overcoming obstacles in general, until you get to that point to where you've been increased and the Lord take you out that situation, and now you done acquire new skills that's going to be beneficial for you in furthering your journey. One more. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm going to start at verse 14. It says, for the love of Yahushua constraineth us, because we thus judge that if one died for all, then we all dead. Then we are all dead. And that he died for all, that they which live should not henceforth live unto themselves, but unto him that died for them and rose again. Right, meaning we don't live for ourselves, we live for Yahushua, So what Yahushua lived for, what he died for, because how the world say, he lived for this, he died for this. Well, Yahushua lived for us, he died for us. So now we have to live for Yahushua, and we have to die for, well, I ain't gonna say die, but we have to live for Yahushua. And certain men, they will be put to death for Yahushua. But you got to live according to the standards that they set for us, And in order to get to those standards, you have to continue to level up in the spirit. Because going back to what I said, we can't just be on level 1, coming into this truth and just staying there. You know, we're always supposed to grow, continually grow, because we're becoming the sons and daughters of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And we're slowly putting off that old man, slowly killing off the old person we used to be and becoming a new creature. It says, wherefore, henceforth, know we know man after the flesh. Yeah, though we have known Yahushua after the flesh, yes, henceforth know we him no more. Therefore, if any man be in Hamashiach Yahushua, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Right. It said, I'm reading that in the NLT. It says, this means that anyone who belongs to Yahushua has become a new person. The old life is gone. A new life has begun. Right. So the old life is gone and a new life has begun. So a new way of thinking, a new person. You know, now you're leveling up in the spirit. Now, when certain situations arise, how a person in the world will react, or how a person in the world will choose to approach this obstacle, or whatever the case may be, it should be completely different from you, you know, because now we're thinking on the spiritual level. You know, we're thinking at a higher vibration, and we're moving at a higher vibration because we're moving under the vibration of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And studying is also a part of leveling up because now you know what the Lord requires, what he's looking for, how he wants you to move in this world, or when you're going through certain situations, how patient he wants you to be in your sufferings and waiting on him. You know, this is all a part of leveling up in the spirit. Lord will, that was an edifying lesson, you know. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. But first and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well, and peace, love, and salutation to the brothers out there pushing the word, sincerity, and truth. Shalom to all the brothers and children out there keeping this word, sincerity, and truth. Shalom.